Yeah.
Yes.
Hi, and welcome back to A Guide to Surviving Stroke and Brain Injury. First of all, I want to say thank you to Jessica. This is her first appearance with me on our channel. So everybody, yay, Jessica. Today's guest is Joe Borges, right?
Borges.
Borges. And he is a stroke-related victim. I guess I shouldn't say victim survivor. He does two shows, channels, I guess, on Instagram. One is called Joe Sell Rocks, and the other is called the Neuro Nerds, which is a podcast, right?
Yes.
Okay. We are so very lucky to have him on the channel today. He brings brain injury and stroke survivors to rock their recovery. So welcome, Joe.
Thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for being with us. So when exactly did you have your stroke?
I suffered, I survived a major hemorrhagic stroke August 4th, 2016.
Wow. Now, what's the date?
August 4th. I know that I literally tattooed it on my body so I would remember forever, because one of the side effects was memory loss. So I will never forget because it's always inked on me.
Well, mine was November 8th, 2016.
2016, we're twinsies. We survived the same amount of years.
I would love to be like you, but in any way but that way.
Right. Right.
So how old were you?
I was 39 years old when I had my stroke. Yeah.
That is young.
I get that a lot.
I was 46. How old are you, Jess?
I was 47. And
how is that possible? Because both of you are clearly not even old enough to drink.
Oh, we love you even more.
He is so full of it. I love you, by the way. Keep it up. Keep it up. Keep it up. So what kind of stroke did you have? I know you said hemorrhagic, which is a brain bleed, right?
Yeah, I had a hemorrhagic stroke. My right basal ganglia ruptured. And it was caused from emotions. So I was an emotional guy to begin with. I'm a Cancer, and I was raised by nothing but women. So this just like pushed all the emotions. It was like jet fuel for all the emotions. It was caused by unchecked high blood pressure, and all that pressure mounted and exploded and vented in my right basal ganglia.
So Jess has a question about that.
Yeah.
I'm sorry to even ask that question, because I'm laughing because it makes me think of something to think of this, but I don't understand how a brain can explode. To me, it's like, and go back together, and look how good you are, and I just
it makes no sense why I'm as functional as I am. I've been told that several times. I've been called a walking, talking miracle by many people because of the type of stroke that I had. This shouldn't be a thing, but it is. So when I say my brain exploded, my right basal ganglia, the pressure, my blood pressure was so high that it ruptured. Rupture is a perfect word. It basically exploded. The pressure was so intense that it ruptured the vessel in my brain, and then my brain proceeded to bleed for a lot longer than it needed to, because I was one of those stubborn people who didn't want to go to the hospital. And I was just like, it's just a headache. It's just a headache. It's not that big of a deal. It was a big deal. So it took me, I believe it was about over a day before I actually went to the hospital. So for, X amount of hours, my brain was just bleeding, and I was slowly deteriorating because I'm a very stubborn, not bright person. And I just didn't go to doctors. I wasn't very comfortable in going to the hospital because I just never did growing up. So I just kind of avoided it until I couldn't avoid it anymore. And when I went to the hospital, they were like, "Oh, yeah, it's a good thing. You suffered a stroke."
That's amazing. That's amazing.
That's scary.
Yeah, you are a miracle.
Yeah, I don't take that lightly. I really could have. So the percentages are for hemorrhagic stroke. Basically 3 out of 4 people who have a hemorrhagic stroke don't make it. It's a really sad thing. And the 1 out of 4 that does make it, the deficits are severe. My deficits aren't. So that's why, I'm called a walking, talking miracle, because none of this really makes sense.
Do they attribute that to your age?
Yes, they said because I was, a younger stroke survivor that led into, but even that, it still doesn't make any sense why I'm as functional as I am. I try not to question it. I'm just accepting it.
Right.
Amen. Amen. Gabe
Be
had
grateful.
Yeah,
Gabe
very.
and I both had 2 strokes, and we had the one in the back of the brain. I don't know, Gabe, what is it called?
Cerebellum.
Yeah, and then I had one some other place, and she had one another place.
You
So
guys are
had-
just overachievers.
Right?
Well, we try. We to go all out.
You guys are just extra.
But the first one I had was a thrombic. I had a blood
Right.
clot in my clavicle, and it
Mhm.
went to my brain. And then the second one was a brain bleed, and
Oh,
that was
wow.
caused because they gave me too much Coumadin.
That is frustrating.
Oh yeah, be me.
Wow. What? And Jessica,
Yeah.
you had 2 as well?
I had mine were at the same time. I had one
Oh,
in the
okay.
back of my brain, whatever Gabe said it was, and then
Cerebellum.
so that was the clot, and then the bleed was on the right side of my brain, but I don't know which one it was.
So you both had both an ischemic as well as a hemorrhagic stroke.
But I had mine at the same time, but Gay had hers
2 weeks
different.
apart.
Wow, that's crazy. I feel like I'm you guys are like the super cool kids
No,
because
she
you guys
is.
went through.
She's even more special because she had to get over 10 surgeries because she had, what's it called?
Trach.
A
I had,
tracheotomy.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
I counted to 10. After 10, we stopped counting, and countless surgeries, because when my father found me, because I live with my parents, and they were waking me up first. I went to work that I worked at a hospital, and I said, something's not right. Something's really not right. So I went, my sister took me to the hospital, and they said, oh, she has a migraine. And so they just gave me medicine and then sent me home. And then I went home and went to bed. The next day, my father was to wake me up, and I had vomit myself, and I was unresponsive. And it took that long before they recognized that I had vomited myself, and so the vomit ate my trach. So for, I don't know how many days, maybe like can't say a week, maybe, my chin was stitched to my chest like this, and I couldn't eat or anything for however long, and countless surgeries because I had in and out of trachs and surgeries. I mean, let me just let you know, when I got awake, I had my stroke on January 3rd of 2017. I didn't wake up. My brain didn't wake up till Valentine's Day. So I always think as Valentine's Day as my birth, my second birth, because I have zero memory of that. And
Thank God.
so just going forward, that's my special time of birthday is Valentine's Day. And
it's your rebirth day.
my
That's
rebirth.
a good one. Yes.
And so there was a lot of surgery problems before that, but after getting awake, now that's when the real pain came. That's when I recognized the pain in my body, what I had to go through, and that's when the trauma came. Before that, I have no memory of the drama, but after, the trauma is now in my brain now, and I remember that very clearly.
I think on our channel too, we have some clips of her, how she was like that, how it was stitched, and her learning to walk and stuff. Oh, it's unbelievable to see her now and see her then, because the recovery is amazing. It really is, Jess.
You're also a walking, talking miracle.
Me? Well,
both of you guys.
So my whole side, my right side was paralyzed, and this eye was all the way up there. So I have double vision still, and I basically couldn't roll over, sit up. I couldn't do anything. I have aphasia, and so I couldn't speak. I was literally trapped inside my brain, and it was the worst kind of hell anybody could go through.
Was it locked in syndrome?
No, I just couldn't. So I could verbalize, but I wouldn't make sense.
Right. Yeah, that must be so frustrating.
Yeah. So I'm walking now by myself unassisted, and I'm talking better, right, Jessica?
Yeah, you're doing great.
Right? That's all wonderful
I
things.
still look drunk and sound drunk and walk drunk, but everything else is getting better.
All without the joy of alcohol.
Right? I often wonder. I talked to her because she just had whiskey last night, little jerk, and I
What,
often
was it the
wonder.
first time?
No,
Me,
she's been
oh,
able to drink.
Oh,
I
okay.
can, and it wasn't really whiskey. I had a ginger beer when watching that movie we watched with each other. So I had ginger beer, but I can handle alcohol, and that doesn't bother me. But gay, it doesn't. It's not good for gay
Well, I
right now.
often wonder with my balance the way it is, if I were to get drunk, would it even out?
That's actually pretty funny. That would be amazing if it did, like, oh, I'm a little tipsy now, I'm walking straight.
Right. And I talk better, but I'm too chicken to like figure it out and try it. But
Right, because when you drink, you tend to slur. Now, if you have
right.
aphasia and you drink, would that balance that out? It
Exactly.
kind of makes sense.
Right. But
I think it takes your anxiety away.
yeah.
I thought when I get together with other friends and it can be overwhelming, I think if I drink a beer, I calm down and I'm okay without having more medicine or pills that the doctors give you. And I've talked about my doctor about that. I said, I'm okay if I have a beer or two,
Right.
or
Or
3 or
five
4.
or nine. No, nine might be too many.
but it calms me down and
Right.
I'm able to
Yeah.
think clearly.
Yeah, everything is good in moderation, I think,
Yeah.
Well, I'm still chicken to find out, but she has
Hey, so it's
offered to buy
steps.
me a beer. But I'm like, I don't know.
It's steps. It's whenever you're ready,
These are
you take the
baby
first step.
steps. So explain to me what that ganglia, because I don't think we're familiar with it. So what
Mhm.
exactly is that? What center is it, and what does it process?
It's right front, and it's basically emotions. So my emotions were affected, and it
Were
was
you
weird in
angry?
recovery. I was everything. You name it, I had it. It anger, frustration, like crying out of the blue. Now I'm a very emotional person by nature, but it was even more so where just
Yeah.
it's the emotions were on a hair trick, and acting out a lot for sure. So a lot of people will be like, wow, you got really angry really quickly, and the reality is, when I say normal, we're all normal, it's just a new version of normal. But before the brain injury, everybody starts out at zero, and then slowly but surely throughout their day they get a little bit more amped up, a little bit
Yeah.
frustrated, a little bit angry, and then finally they explode when they hit a 10, right? After my brain injury, I am constantly at a 5. I wake up halfway to freaking out. So it takes a lot less for me to get to that really crazy point where I'm frustrated or angry or upset or emotional, than it does, any normal everyday person. So I do still have fits of anger or frustration or emotion because I'm constantly halfway there. So that's what was affected mostly for me.
So I had pseudo bubbler effect
Mhm.
because my emotion center was affected as well. But unlike you, I couldn't control it. So
Mhm.
I would get mad for no reason. I
Right.
would get sad and just start crying for no reason, laughing at the most inappropriate times was horrible for me. Now, fortunately, most of those have gone away. I still can't
Good.
control crying, but at least
Mhm.
I know now that my crying is for a reason.
Right.
But I cry when I'm happy, or when I'm sad, or when I'm mad,
Mhm.
or when I'm I can't
It's a good
control that.
release.
Well, but before I could control it, and then at the end of the day, in
Mhm.
my room, lock the door and just bawl. Now
Right.
it's just like for everybody to see, pretty much.
Right. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that myself, but I can't control it most of the time.
Yeah,
Mostly because of vanity. There's a lot of vanity. There's a lot
yeah.
of, that I really just don't want to anybody to see me at a certain place. But yeah, that was really frustrating for me.
Talk about that. I mean, vanity for walking. I mean, if you notice my hair, I can't curl because I don't have my my right arm, so I can't put
Right.
makeup on. So everything you see was done with my left hand, and it's miserable. But at
Hey,
least
I
can do
think
it
you did an amazing job. I'm just gonna say that. I don't think you need makeup, and I think your hair is amazing.
now. You're. I like you even more. Are you kidding me?
You're never gonna get rid of us now.
With that,
He'll never get rid of us now.
I know, poor thing.
I'm here for it.
So, what made you decide to do the channels on Instagram?
Before the stroke, I wasn't much of a social person. I was like part of the anti-social network. I just didn't really, deal with any of that stuff. After the stroke, I was desperate for community. Desperate for community. It was after the stroke. It was my first year of recovery. It was the most isolating time of my life. It was just. It was hard. And when I say isolated, I say this a lot on my podcast. It's a lot, on my channel. Isolation doesn't come from not having people around. Isolation comes from not being understood. I had people around. My significant other has been with me from every moment from day one.
Yeah.
Constantly there. I've had, friends. I've had, some family. Nobody understood. And I just remember after coming home from the hospital thinking, wow, I made it. And then just feeling more lonely than I've ever felt in my life because nobody really understood. And I remember just, well, let me try to find people because that's what you do now in this age. You
That's
reach
how
out to
she
people.
and I found each other.
Right. Yeah. So I was like, there's the interwebs. So let me see what I can do here. I searched stroke survivor. I hashtag stroke survivor, and then some people came up, and then I randomly reached out to a couple of people, and it was very awkward. I'm not even gonna say I was like, man, I was like the smoothest, I was like the coolest guy. No, it was so strange because it was very foreign to me. On top of the fact that I have a brain injury. So the conversations early on were literally like, hey, I have a brain injury. You have brain injury too. Let's talk. It was so weird. I don't understand how people actually thought that how I made friends. But I ended up meeting a couple of people. I met a survivor in the Netherlands and I met a survivor in Australia. And they became my support system before I actually had a support system. How it all started was at a random party. I was at a friend's birthday party. My significant other, her friend had a birthday party, and it was like one of my first outings after my brain injury. And we were just talking, and it was like, "Oh, Joe, you had a stroke," and I was explaining what happened to me. I had a stroke, and this is what it did, and these are the side effects. There was this one girl, and she was just staring at me, like piercingly staring at me the whole time. And all I'm thinking in my head is, I'm here with my girlfriend. This is awkward. She came up to me afterwards and she was just like, everything you said resonates with me. I had a concussion about a year ago and these are the side effects and nobody understands. So we decided to meet up for coffee once. It was the first time that I felt like, I think I'm going to be able to make it. I think I'll be able to do this because I found somebody that understood what I was going through. And that just so happened to turn into the co-host of my podcast, Lauren. So we met for coffee. We talked about all the brain stuff that we were going through the exact same things, even though we had completely different brain injuries. She suffered a major concussion. I suffered the hemorrhagic stroke, but we still had the neuro fatigue, the brain fog, the exhaustion, the overstimulation, the constant feeling of overwhelmed, the memory issues. So we spoke the same language. Then I found out she was a huge nerd. She was talking about writing fan fiction and Dungeons and Dragons and Lord of the Rings. And all I thought is like, you're my people. So that conversation felt so good. I came up with the idea selfishly that, hey, we should do this. We should do this weekly. We should like start a podcast and talk about our brain injury recovery through everything nerd. Talk about nerd stuff and like the hero's journey. And we started it just for ourselves, just for us to connect and have a reason to meet every week. And then it just snowballed and turned into this thing that, I can now say that I've helped people around the world, which has been amazing. So that's how the social started out of necessity. I started to do it because I needed to find community and it wasn't readily available for me.
Good for you. That's wonderful. That's how Gay and I got together. I was desperate for something and she was desperate for a friend as well. And it was our speech therapist that said, hey, I have a girl that is looking for a friend. If you felt led to call her. that day I called Kay and we couldn't talk very long and I can't remember why. But the next, maybe it was the same, I had to go someplace, I think
Same
that morning.
day.
Yeah, so we talked for a little bit and then I had to leave. And then I came home and I called her and we talked for 4 hours
That's
because
amazing.
I couldn't get enough. I wanted more and more. I want to know how you had your stroke. How old are you? And what do you know, I want to know every detail of every, I mean, when you find a person that can relate to you, well, it's like best candy ever.
Well,
It doesn't, it's hard to explain that connection. And you guys
yeah.
have that connection that Laura
Yeah.
and I had immediately.
Well, for me personally, all my family left. I have nobody.
Yeah.
So to
Right.
find Jessica, and plus two, she had a stroke and she understood.
Yeah.
That was like crazy to me. I latched on to her. I'm sorry to say that, but I did. I latched on to her and I'm like, friend, good friend.
We find our people, you know, and you guys just so happen to find each other. And that's amazing. I love that.
Well,
Yeah.
and so I think it was about 3 years after her stroke, we decided to do this channel. And unselfishly, it was like, if you and I found each other, how many other people don't have anybody? You know what I mean? And how many people feel isolated and, you know, I'm the only one that feels this way. Huh?
Yeah. And need
so,
somebody to talk to.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
And so that's why we made this channel. And if we help one person, that's our only like goal, I guess. If we help more, thank God. But if we don't, just one person that we touch is amazing. And we've had people from Johns Hopkins, the physical therapy division there, reach out. And I mean, this is embarrassing, especially for me. You guys seem normal, but I talk funny and I don't use my right hand that well. And I mean, so it's pretty embarrassing. And I do like exercise videos, which shows my impairments. But I want people to know I didn't have physical therapy for 3 years. So this is what I did to get to that point, to get out of my wheelchair, to get off the walker. And Jessica's story is about how she overcame the trachs talking again. I don't know if you noticed or not, but sometimes she'll go in and out of an accent. And a lot of people aren't aware that that's a part of aphasia.
Right.
So
Look, you said one thing. I'll push back a little bit. There's the embarrassment. I think we all have it. There's a certain amount of vanity that we all have post brain injury. I think that's something that we all need to kind of get past because those are just feelings. The reality is there's nothing embarrassing about what happened to us. If anything, it should be celebrated. We survived something that probably should have taken us, right?
Yes. Right.
What's embarrassing about that? What's embarrassing about living? We are real life superheroes, right? We have overcome something that really did everything in its power to take us down. So yes, you're physically different right now. You have struggle with one of your sides. You have aphasia, so you don't speak the same. Jessica, with your trach issues, you may not speak the same that you used to, but you want to know what you are. You're here.
Right.
That's the one thing that like I'll never forget. I used to get very depressed and I used to get very anxious and I used to get very sad because I missed the old version of myself.
Yeah.
Then I realized, so I was resisting the fact that like I was a new version of me. You know, I say new normal all the time and people hate that term. I love it. I love it. Gay, can I tell you why I love it? People, I think it's an acceptance thing, right? People are so desperate and fixated on being the old version of themselves. Like, I just want what I had back. I don't mean to be the bearer of bad news, but I'll be the bearer of bad news. That version of us is gone.
Yeah.
And it's not coming back. That's not a bad thing. It doesn't have to be. For some people, it's a bad thing. It doesn't have to be a bad thing. So when I say new normal, it's people, yeah, but I like my old normal. That's great. This new normal could be even better than that. This could be the best version of ourselves. Basically, this can be the evolved version of ourselves.
Yeah.
So yeah, there are certain things that we miss. Some of us physically, some of us emotionally, mentally. We miss these things. This can definitely be you can be living the best life that you're living now. There's no embarrassment attached to it at all.
One of the things that Jessica and I talk about pretty much all the time is we don't have selective memory. We have memory issues, but we don't have selective memory because there's a lot of things this girl and I would choose to forget.
Right.
But we don't. And one thing I do wish I could forget is how I used to walk and talk and dance and run and play baseball, and you know what I mean? I wish those were one of the things I could forget. On the other hand, though, it's the one thing that drives me and motivates me because one day I'm going to do those things again.
100% you're going to do those things again. I have no doubt. So, but in the meantime, until you get to that point when you get frustrated and upset at the old version of yourself, I think what helps me, and hopefully it'll help you too, I remember when I was in the hospital. I don't know if do you guys have memory when you were in the hospital?
Oh, yeah.
A little bit.
Okay, yeah, it sucks. It's not
Totally.
the best. So as crazy and as difficult as things are now, right? Is it better than being in the hospital? I'd say yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So in those moments of frustration and anger, I would just think back, hey, you know what? Yeah, it's horrible. Yeah, I wish I was able to do this. Yeah, I would, but I'm significantly better than I was because I'm not being helped to the restroom. I'm not being helped, nobody has to help me to take a shower. 2, do your hair, which looks amazing, gay. I don't want to hear, no, you look great. You look great. You don't need makeup. I don't even want to hear any of that stuff. This version of you is 10 times the version of yourself that was in the hospital. Like you have come so far, and that's now. Imagine where you're going to be 5 years from now. Like it's crazy. Like your trajectory is up. Yes, there are some things that you might miss, but you're heading towards that direction. On top of that, you have a brand new perspective of life, what life is, an appreciation for the little things, these conversations, these connections that we have. We would have never had these if it wasn't for our brain injuries.
True.
So I'm thankful for them. I'm thankful for this new vision of life. I'm thankful that I met, you two amazing people that I never would have met you guys if it wasn't for my brain injury. So I would hopefully you can focus on that stuff as opposed to the stuff that you've lost, because I think you've gained much more than you've lost.
Thank you for saying that.
Wonderful. Yeah.
Do you have any questions for us?
I just think you guys are amazing. I love your energy. I really do. Where are you guys located?
Colorado.
Colorado. Okay. So you guys, what's funny is I just did an Instagram takeover of Heal the Brain with my friend Mimi Hayes, who just moved from Colorado over here to California, where I'm at.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's a comedian and she's amazing. She's one of my best friends. Another person that I would not have met if it wasn't for my brain injury.
So
I love.
Too?
She did,
Oh,
and
wow.
she's also an author. She has a book called "It's Okay, It's Just a Hole in My Head."
So, yeah, I saw her, or I follow her.
Yeah, she's amazing. She's amazing. She really is. She's hilarious. But I love our community, and I'm so happy. I'm always happy to connect with other survivors because instantly we kind of become family because we speak the same language. We do.
Yes.
I don't know if this will resonate with you guys. I kind of feel like we're soldiers. If that, it sounds weird. Okay, so
yes.
So you have, let's say, military men, right? Military men and women. They've been to war. They can only connect and understand on that level with other people who are in the military, right?
Yeah.
They can talk to us about it. I have no idea what that's like. I could literally just be like, wow, that sounds really, really hard. But I don't know what that is. They'll speak to another soldier and they'll know immediately, I know what that is. There's a connection there that will never go away and we will never understand. Us, all three of us here, we've been to war with our own brains.
Yes.
So when you say something like, wow, this is difficult, or, I was feeling the brain fog or the fatigue, I know what that is. So immediately, all three of us are connected in on a level that nobody else could understand. That's what I love about this community. Well,
and it was so funny when Jessica told me about you. I had just done a video on what not, what is it called? I forget now. It's called What Not to Say to Stroke Survivors. So you coming in, it had to be fake. I'm serious. Because I was like, yeah, but that wasn't what I said.
That is really funny. I just did a series on TikTok and Instagram of things that you shouldn't say to a brain injury survivor.
And it's wonderful. I pass it on to everybody.
It's
Everything you said is
insane.
true.
It really is, and it's insane because what's funny is I call people without brain injury normies. Normies will say, "Do people really say these things?" And I'm like, "Yes." And this
All the
like the
time.
answers, they're not just coming from like one small group in a certain area. These answers are coming from people around the world. So this is worldwide. People
Yeah.
saying these horrific things to brain injury survivors, like, "Yeah, but you look so normal."
Right?
Well, you're too young to have a stroke. Well, it could have been much worse. It's like, yeah, they just don't
Yeah.
say these things.
Right. We know
My
it could be worse.
thing is people think I'm unintelligent because I don't understand something. I covered this in my last video, and sometimes people speak really fast. And for me, anyway, my brain cannot catch up to what you're saying quick enough. So
Right.
if I ask you, what did you say, or can you repeat that? They automatically talk slower and like I'm a dummy. You know what I
Loud.
mean?
Frustrating.
Like, that's not what it is. Or louder because like I'm deaf because I had a stroke.
Right.
You know? And it's like, no, I'm not dumb. I'm not a child.
You have aphasia.
I'm just asking you to repeat yourself because I can't keep up with what you're saying.
People don't understand the way that we process after a brain injury. It's just different. This is why I say
is.
again, new normal. It's a new normal. It's slightly different. It's still normal. It's just okay. So you know how people hate new normal?
Me?
I love it. I love it. Have you ever changed the way that you ate? Like changed your diet? Like, oh, I'm not going to eat this. I'm going to eat this instead.
Well,
Yeah.
part of my recovery caused that. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll say this. Do you want to know what that was? That was your new normal. It's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing. It's really not, you know? Like if you think of it like, hey, you know what? I'm going to eat keto now, or I'm going to be vegetarian. Okay, you're making these changes for your betterment, right? So I eat healthier. Eating healthy now is your new normal. Not eating McDonald's for breakfast. That's a new normal. It's not a bad, it doesn't have to be a bad thing. I think that there's a negative view of new normal. I love it. I think it's amazing. I think it's us growing, and I think it's us evolving as people. And all three of us, we're evolving as survivors, you know. And this is our hero's journey, and it's a new normal, and I love it.
Well, I like to explain to people I may have started over like a child did because I had to learn to roll over and I had to learn how to crawl and to walk and to talk. That may be childlike, but my brain is still the same brain. I am still the same person in here. I just can't convey it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Have you guys ever seen Indiana Jones, the
I
original
love it.
one? Okay,
Don't
so
you know that's my future ex-husband? Han Solo, baby, come on.
I have, that's funny. I actually have Star Wars tattoos. Huge fan. So you know, do you remember the end of the movie where they take the Ark of the Covenant and it's like in this box, and then there's like this little old dude and he's putting it in this giant warehouse?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I describe our brains, right? So basically, all of those boxes, because it was thousands of boxes in this giant warehouse, that's all the information. So when after brain injury, our little guy that goes to get that information, it takes him a little while. It's just picture this little dude, and he has this little cart, and he's going, and he's like, okay, I know the answer. It's here somewhere, and he's searching through this giant warehouse, and then, you know, maybe I got to move some boxes around. He'll eventually get it, but it's going to take some time. Exactly. So that's what it. And with aphasia, it's he's looking for it, but he's also looking for it, and now it's in different languages, and it's hidden behind other things. It's people don't really understand that aphasia doesn't change your intelligence. You have all the information. It's just a little scrambled.
That is a better way of putting it than I have in the past. Well, like Jessica and I think Jessica can add to this, but so I knew like that was a can. This is a can, a Mountain Dew.
Right.
And I knew in my head it's a can, and I know the function of the can, but I couldn't tell you it was a can.
Yeah.
I could say chicken. And people look at me like, what? That's not a chicken. I'm like, no, it's a chicken. You know, because I
in your
knew
head, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Well,
Right.
A month and a half where I have zero memory.
Hmm.
But to my family, that when I was in the hospital, everything that I everything that I wanted was chicken. But I didn't
Hmm.
want chicken. I wanted like a tissue or whatever I wanted. I don't know. But
Yeah.
everything was chicken. But I don't know why I was saying chicken. And I have no memory of saying chicken other than the
Right.
videos that they took for me that I can see them saying chicken.
One of my really good friends is Sarah Conway. She's one of the three Stromies on Instagram, and she had aphasia. Her coming out of the hospital first couple of years. Now it's slight, almost you can't even notice it any longer. Everything with her was dishwasher. That was a word. You use chicken, she used dishwasher.
It's
So
like
she
you
would
get
be
to
hungry.
choose, you know?
So she would be hungry, and well, what would you like for dinner? Dishwasher.
Oh
And
no.
like, wait, what? Oh, she's gonna go take a shower. Hey, I'm gonna go take a dishwasher.
Yeah.
That was just the word. She would
That
just
is
use dishwasher.
exactly how it was. Yeah.
She knew what she was saying. She knew
Yeah.
in her head she was saying, "I'm gonna go take a shower. I would like steak for dinner," but it would come out dishwasher because it's just a
Right.
little bit jumbled in her head.
And I
That is,
wonder how long does that take? I mean, you're not the doctor, but I don't know how long is it going to take.
It all varies. It really does. Like basically, brain injuries and brains, they're thumbprints and they're snowflakes. No two are alike.
yeah.
So some people will have aphasia and suffer it just as deeply as it is right out of the hospital the rest of their life. Sadly, some people, a couple of weeks, couple of days, couple of months, couple of years, like it doesn't really make any sense. Sometimes it's kind of a crapshoot. That's what's frustrating, but it's the reality.
I don't think I ever, and I mean, I may, maybe I don't know if I had aphasia, but I know that when if I want to be too perfect, I want to say right words,
Yeah.
then I get an Indian accent, and I'm not Indian, and I don't speak Indian, but I went to my neurologist, and the accent was really strong, where he even asked me where I was from, and I said, well, I was born and raised in Colorado. I don't speak any other languages, and why does that come out there? But I can't control when it comes, and I can't
Right.
make it happen or even stop it, but I can hear it in my ear that it's doing it, and that is the most embarrassing of me because I can't control it. And I wanted to stop that, and that's the embarrassment. What you were talking about. When is it going to go that way?
Right. But think about how fascinating that is. If you really think about it, yes, it's embarrassing where it can pop up every once in a while, but how amazing is it that that can happen? Like I just think our minds are spectacular.
Well,
And
I
again,
think so because my I worked at the hospital, and I worked for two doctors, and they were both from Indian,
Mhm.
and then my very best friend was from India. So those are the doctors that were taking care of me during my stroke. I worked with them, then they took care of me at the hospital, so I could hear their accent. So when I got better, then where did I get this Indian accent coming? Probably from the doctors taking care of me, and I hear in my ear, in my this is an ear. Yeah, in my ear, hearing this Indian accent coming there. I don't know. Maybe that's just maybe I don't
Right.
know.
Maybe
What's
it, it
crazy
it
though,
imprinted on you.
what's
Yes.
crazy though is she can't replicate that accent unless she's tired or
Mm,
she can't do it on cue, which
No.
is
that's amazing.
crazy.
If
Yeah,
I
it's
do, yeah.
our brains are incredible. They really are. I think as frustrating as that can be, like if you really just take a step back and think about, wow, that's pretty. It really is. It's amazing. It's amazing that the brain can do that.
Well, I
Very
don't even think they have touched what all the brain can do. So
Right.
really,
Not
when they
even
tell you
close.
something, they have no idea. They call it a practice for a reason, and
Yeah.
not to disrespect doctors or our physical therapists or anything, but it's called a practice because they're practicing on us.
Yeah, it's ongoing. It's
Yeah,
ongoing. I mean, things that they used to do, like let's say 10 years ago, that's like old technology. Like things have been updated. They've figured out so much more. That being said, just look at what's going to happen in the next 10 years.
right.
It's amazing. It is. It's a practice. It's not a perfect.
But one thing I want to mention is I was on Facebook. It's been a while because I'm off Facebook now. But I was in a female stroke survivor group category or whatever group for women.
Mhm.
And this one lady was on there and she said she had her stroke 6 years ago. And on that day, her anniversary, stroke anniversary or whatever, her voice came back. No rhyme or reason, nothing.
Wow,
But it came back.
that's amazing.
So it all depends on, you know.
I had, when I was in the hospital, I had left side neglect where my brain didn't acknowledge that I had a left side. So nothing. And it was even weirder because, yeah, physically the left side just didn't work because my brain didn't acknowledge it. They would, in occupational therapy, they would have me draw things. And I remember they had me draw a clock. I drew half of a clock.
Yeah.
Oh,
They had me draw a person and I drew half of a person. And I just remember they were saying, well, what about the other side? And in my head, I had no idea what they were talking about. I was just thinking, it didn't make sense to me. It was foreign because I was thinking in my head, no, that's a clock. That's a full clock. What are you talking about other side? It made no sense to me. And the same thing with the person. My brain, the neurons hadn't really connected yet. So, but that only lasted a few days. I don't think it was much more than a week, maybe a week or so. And then the full functionality came back, thank goodness.
Can you still see, or are you still partially blind?
Oh no, I'm basically almost 100% back. The only physical deficits or issues that I have is my right hand. I tend to have tremors in my right hand.
Me too.
And that's normally after like I exhaust it, like I'm doing a lot of fine motor stuff, like if I'm writing a lot or if I'm putting together, like let's say IKEA furniture or something. By the end of the day, I'll become very clumsy. I won't be able to grab things. I get the shake. So if I'm holding, I won't be able to eat, you know, correctly because my hand is just too weak. That's it. But that's a very small thing in the grand scheme of it all. On top of that, I do suffer from memory issues. Out of the hospital, I was like Dory. I would forget from one moment to the next. It was really, really bad. That's gotten better. It's not perfect. I still suffer a lot. I do really well, but there's still patches where it's like, oh wow, yeah, no, I don't know what happened there. Just the information just went somewhere else. But you know, I'm improving every single day, just like all of us.
I'm laughing because Dory, first of all, was an excellent reference to that because that is who we are. So
Yeah.
Jessica and I will say something, remember this? And she'll go, no. And I go, it's on my freaking channel. Go look at it. And she go, I know you probably said so, but no. And then vice versa. She called my son to communicate for me. And she called me that day and told me everything. And then about a month later, wasn't about a month later, we were talking about it. And she brought it up like, how did you get his number? What did you call him? And she's like, so patient and so gracious, but she understands. That's the
Yeah.
difference. And
Yeah. I
she
mean,
explained it
we
all
understand.
over to me again.
We've been through it, you know, like we understand what it's like. That's why I say there shouldn't be any embarrassment. There shouldn't be at all, you know. If Where does embarrassment come from? I think it comes from thinking other people are thinking certain things. Who cares?
Yeah.
yeah.
Like really, like who
I think you said
cares?
good when you said vanity,
Yeah.
and I think that's a good one with vanity because you know, we live in a small town, and we grew up here in a certain way, and so we maybe see some people that everybody knows buddy in this little town. It's not that small, but it's still small enough. And both of us have talked about, like, I don't want to see somebody like this. If they have on me, I'm going to really lose it and get angry because you
Right.
don't want somebody judging you that way. And I think that's a hard to, you were that way, now you're going to be this way. And oh, I can already hear that little guy in my ear talking differently. And that's the embarrassment coming there. And you can't control that. And it is what it is.
It is though. It is. And I think I've tried to watch my language. Should I watch my language where this is a curse free channel?
Oh, no. We can say the F word.
Okay,
Want to say
cool.
it
I'm
together?
going to.
It's not for kids, so.
Okay, I'm going to right now. So I'll help you with something that helped me. And I think we should all, as brain injury survivors, we should give less fucks. We should.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I think we just care sometimes too much about what other people are thinking. Who really cares? Who cares?
Yeah.
If somebody is going to look down on you because you're recovering from a major brain injury, is that somebody that you really want in your life?
No.
Is that somebody that you care for? Now, is that the kind of person that you would take advice from?
No.
No.
So if it's not, why would you take their criticism?
Right.
So I am comfortable and happy to say that the amount of fucks that I don't give is astounding. I don't really care. I know the things that I do, and the people that I care about are my people, right? The people in the community, the people that are by my side, my significant other. Like, I care about what they think about me and the things that I do. Anybody else, strangers or old friends or family or people who are going to judge, I don't care what they think, because their judgment means nothing to me, because they don't have any effect on my life. They don't, because of their negativity, because of, you know, the trajectory of their life. I'm going up. That's where I'm going. You know, if they want to stay still, that's fine. I have no plans on staying here. I want to go up. So any vanity or embarrassment that comes from those people who are staying here, don't worry about that. Worry about your people. You know,
And
that's
sorry.
it.
You said a word, and I heard the word, but then I kind of it blacked out. I'm in my brain. Can you say that word again?
Which word? Trajectory?
No, you said we can say like, did you say the F word?
I did.
We don't give a fuck.
Okay.
I say give less fucks.
Okay, less fucks. Okay,
Yeah.
that's I thought I said, but it wasn't really certain, because before we started the video, I spoke to my brother-in-law, and I said, I'm kind of nervous, Cameron. I don't want this accent to happen, and I'm nervous. And he says, Jessica, you're just gonna say fuck them. Fuck them is what he said.
Yeah.
There it is.
That was it.
That is the best advice anyone can hear. Because look, you're not hurting anybody. If anything, you're just helping yourself get through recovery. If anybody is going to look down on you because of that, why do you care? That's not somebody I want to be around. That's
Right.
somebody who has some issues of their own that they need to work out. You know,
Right.
I look at all of us in the community, and every single one of our stories, every single one of our recoveries is inspiring. It really is. Every single one is unique, and every single one is powerful. And there's no, well, that person has it worse than me. No, all of our traumas are the same. Our trauma is our trauma is our trauma. My story isn't worse than yours. Yours isn't worse than hers. Yours isn't worse than mine. We're all in this at the same level, and we're all just trying to get better and be the best versions of ourselves. There's nothing to look down on there. If anything, that's something to look to aspire to.
Yes.
I think the only issue I have is if I'm walking towards you and you don't make eye contact with me and you turn, I covered this in my last video. That is so insulting, because even if I was normal, it would be insulting because you didn't want to talk to me. I would much rather have a person come up and say, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? I mean, did something happen? I would much rather have that than someone physically and knowingly avoid me. Does that make sense?
It does. But when those people who do that, those people who are just, those are people who are not very happy with themselves. They're not very comfortable with how they would react to adversity. You know, so if they see something and makes them uncomfortable, it makes them uncomfortable. I am happy when people do that, because it's like, oh, I don't have to spend a lot of time getting to know you. It's great. I think it's amazing. I love when people do that. It's like, oh, I only have, look, as brain injury survivors, we only have a certain amount of mental bandwidth to give, right? Why do I want to spend it on somebody like that? I'm happy to know that you're an awful person so I can avoid you and then live my best life.
That's wonderful. That's right.
Well, I so thank you very much for coming on here. I feel like,
of course,
you're my brother already. Like, you're our brother.
We're family. Like, that's the thing. This is what's beautiful about our community. We connect on a level that nobody can understand. We understand. We do. You know, like it's not anything that makes sense. It's not anything that I can explain to somebody else. But we're part of the cool kids club. Like, we really are. And that's like how we have to look at it. Again, if somebody's going to look down on you, they're just not, they're on the outside looking in. They don't understand the connections that we have. They don't understand this like beautiful world that we live in, despite the things that have happened to us.
Absolutely.
Do you have any other questions, Jess?
want to say thank you, Joe.
course.
And I said before, for me, you're my Tom Brady because you say
Yes.
the word that I can't say myself. So I'm so
Not
very
my
thankful.
Han Solo. Sorry.
Can I be the Luke Skywalker? Can I be maybe?
Okay.
I can be
Maybe
the Luke.
Chewbacca.
Hey, I could be Chewbacca. I'm a pretty hairy dude. That works out for me. I like that. No, I'm very thankful to connect with you guys, and your audience. And I'm always here to help. If you guys ever want to reach out to me, the people can, reach out to me. I'm Joso Rocks on all the socials. My podcast is the Neuro Nerds. Me and my co-host, we're here to help anybody we can. I also do a one-on-one Survivor to Thriver coaching program. If anybody has any interest in that, they can check out the links in my bio. And sincerely, we're all in this together. And to be honest, that's the only way we're going to get through this wild ride of recovery, and that's together.
Wonderful. But just thank you.
Oh, thank you guys. I really appreciate you guys. I love my new extended family.
Of course. And we're here for you. I hope you're here for us. And if you have any questions or anything, Jessica and I are more than happy to answer them for you or find out.
Thank you guys. You guys are the best, really.
So I want to just say one thing. March is Brain Injury Month, and I want everybody to be aware of that. Also, National Stroke Awareness Month is May. And then World Stroke Day. Who knew there were so many days for us? World Stroke Day is October 29th. So always remember to celebrate every day, celebrate every victory, big or small. And every time you don't succeed at something, remember that is another way you learn not to do it.